Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza is brought to you by Sport Relay. Honest, unbiased, and apolitical. Sport Relay, your connection to the diamond. And by A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volumes 1 and 2, by Evan Thompson. Relive the glory. A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs.
This week on Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza, the March and April Team Power Rankings, the March and April Relief Corps of the Month for each league, the March and April Individual Power Rankings, the March and April Relievers of the Month for each league and each role, and a visit with our special guest, Thomas Harding, Rockies beat writer from MLB.com. Don't go away! Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza begins now. Welcome to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. I'm your host, Evan Thompson, Editor-in-Chief, National Writer, and Athletics Writer at Sport Relay. I also wrote these two books, A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volume 1, Pre-Divisional Tiebreakers through 1976, and Volume 2, 1977 through 1984. If you are interested in ordering a copy or two of these two fine pieces of baseball nonfiction, there are links in the description box below this video. It's May. We are deep enough in the season to see the relief units and relievers take shape. We have some division leaders and division cellar dwellers that run counter to the mainstream predictions. And in May, it will only get crazier. By the way, this will be a meat and potatoes episode. The season premiere was a jumbo double feature type episode, and I am still recovering. This will be rankings, awards, and a guest. Then I'll get back to preparing for the third episode of the season. So, without further ado, it is time for the Team Relief Corps Power Rankings for March and April. These rankings include every pitch thrown in relief by a player wearing their team's uniform, excluding position players since they aren't part of the Relief Corps, through the end of play on April 30th. This table shows the scoring breakdown. Teams are ranked in clutch, run prevention, base runner prevention, and command, weighted as shown. And please note that we did add a meh penalty to clutch this year. We talked about that in the season premiere episode. The final score determines the ranking. 0 means right at league average. Positive is better than average. Negative is below average. A score of 100 means the team is 100% better than league average. A score of 50 is 50% better. A score of negative 50 is 50% lower, and so on. Each whole number equals 1 percentage point. We will start with the number 30 team and work our way to number 1. American League teams will appear in red. National League teams will appear in blue. The first number in parentheses after the team name is their rank within their league. The number after the comma shows the change in their Major League rank from the Week 4 rankings to these March and April rankings. Here we go. Our first group is Pray for a Blowout Win, dropping 6 spots to 30th with negative 16.3, the Houston Astros. Holding steady at 29th with negative 15.02, rounded to negative 15.0, the San Francisco Giants. Remaining at 28th with negative 15.00, also rounded to negative 15.0, the Washington Nationals. Climbing 3 places up to 27th with negative 13.0, the Milwaukee Brewers. Stock up on Tums if you're rooting for the Minnesota Twins. They have fallen 4 spots to 26th with negative 7.4. 5 teams have lots of work to do, dropping 11 places down to 25th with negative 3.1, the Los Angeles Angels. Placed at 24th due to the continuation of the ghost broken egg adjustment with an adjusted score of negative 2.6, the St. Louis Cardinals. Rising 2 spots to 23rd with negative 2.0, the New York Yankees. Falling 5 places to 22nd with negative 1.2, the Chicago Cubs. Dropping 6 spots to 21st with negative 0.4, the Detroit Tigers. 2 teams came in as below average. Holding steady at 20th with 1.9, the New York Mets. Jumping 7 spots to 19th with 2.9, the Chicago White Sox. 4 teams compose slightly below average. Rocketing 9 places up to 18th with 6.1, the Philadelphia Phillies. Climbing 6 spots to 17th with 6.6, the Kansas City Royals. Falling 8 places down to 16th with 8.4, the Boston Red Sox. Climbing 6 spots up to 15th with 9.0, the Toronto Blue Jays. We also have 4 teams in slightly above average. Rising 4 places up to 14th with 12.6, the Texas Rangers. Dropping 2 spots to 13th with 12.7, the Athletics. Falling 6 places to 12th with 14.8, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Leaping 8 spots up to 11th with 15.3, the Miami Marlins. The next trio is known as the Decent. Climbing 2 places to 10th with 18.4, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jumping 7 spots to 9th with 19.8, the Pittsburgh Pirates. And climbing 5 places to 8th with 20.7, the Cleveland Guardians. Now for the good, rising 3 spots to 7th with 28.0, the San Diego Padres. Falling 4 places to 6th with 28.5, the Atlanta Braves. Dropping 1 spot down to 5th with 32.6, the Baltimore Orioles. And climbing 5 places up to 4th with 36.8, the Tampa Bay Rays. The top finishers in the American League, the Seattle Mariners, are the only relief unit to make the very good for March and April. They rose 2 spots up to 3rd with 44.0. And you'd better take an early lead against these last 2 teams. And I'm aware they've run into some trouble since May began, but remember these rankings are for March and April only. Climbing 1 place up to 2nd with 51.2, the Cincinnati Reds. And rising 6 spots to take over 1st with 52.5, the Colorado Rockies. The biggest gainers this week are the Phillies up 9, the Marlins up 8, the White Sox and Pirates each up 7, and the Rockies, Royals, and Blue Jays each up 6. The steepest drops came from the Angels down 11, the Red Sox down 8, and the Tigers, Astros, and Dodgers each down 6. Before we end this segment, here's a look at March and April's scatter plot. And to show the volatility of rankings so early in the season, here is a line graph of every team's place week by week, including the March and April rankings. And now for the team awards. First, the American League Relief Corps of the Month, the Seattle Mariners. They finished March and April with 44.0 total points, the best in the American League. Their 3.4 goose egg per broken egg ratio ranked 2nd in the AL, built on 26 goose eggs, tied for 2nd most in the American League, and 7 broken eggs, tied for the 4th best mark in the league. Remember, with broken eggs, the lower the better. Their ERA minus of 83 was 2nd in the AL, and their 78.2 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, also ranked 2nd. They posted a 12.2 inherited runners scored percentage, the 2nd best in the American League. Their 1345 whip ranked 6th best in the league. They also led the American League in home run percentage at 1.6% and finished 4th best in K- walk percentage at 14.0%. The shakiest American League Relief Corps of the month was the Houston Astros. Their negative 16.3 points were the lowest in the majors for March and April. Their 1.6 goose egg per broken egg ratio was tied for the 2nd worst in the American League, built on 14 goose eggs, tied for the 3rd fewest, and 9 broken eggs, tied for the 8th most in the American League. Their 54.4 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, was the lowest in the majors, and their ERA minus of 154 was also the worst in the majors. Their 30.3 inherited runners scored percentage ranked 8th in the American League, right in the middle. Their 17-12 whip was the highest in the majors, and their 4.5 home run percentage was also the highest in the majors. Finally, their 6.9 K minus walk percentage was the lowest in the majors. Moving on to the National League Relief Corps of the month, the Colorado Rockies. They finished March and April with 52.5 total points, the best in the majors. Their 6.3 goose egg per broken egg ratio was first in the majors, built on 25 goose eggs, sixth most in the National League, and 4 broken eggs, the lowest in the majors. Their ERA minus of 81 ranked second in the National League. Their 69.2 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, ranks 12th in the National League, but in spite of that, they still did very well, partly because their 14.9 inherited runners scored percentage was best in the National League. Their 13.26 whip ranked 9th in the National League. Their 3.0 home run percentage ranked 12th in the National League, understandable given where they play, and their 15.2 K minus walk percentage ranked 5th in the National League. The shakiest National League Relief Corps of the month, the San Francisco Giants. We should note that they have not held many close leads late in games, which severely crippled their score due to clutch being 50% of the overall score. Their negative 15.0 points were the lowest in the National League. Their 1.5 goose egg per broken egg ratio ranked second worst in the National League, built on 9 goose eggs, the fewest in the National League, and 6 broken eggs, tied for 6th most. Their 76.3 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, actually ranked second in the National League, and their ERA minus of 84 was tied for third best in the league. Their 31.6 inherited runners scored percentage ranked 7th in the National League. Their 13-11 whip was also tied for 7th. Their 2.1 home run percentage was tied for 6th. And their 11.8 K minus walk percentage ranked 11th in the National League. Despite some strong individual categories, the lack of late inning opportunities dragged their overall score to the bottom of the league, so that wasn't entirely the relief unit's fault. But that's still where they finished. When we return, our special guest, Rockies beat writer Thomas Harding from MLB.com. Don't close that video yet. Welcome back to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. With me, because the Colorado Rockies, as you just saw, got the National League Relief Corps of the month and have the best score in the majors when it comes to team relief rankings. Who better to have on than Mr. Rockies writer himself, MLB.com's beat writer covering the Colorado Rockies. He has covered the Rockies almost this entire century. Thomas Harding, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Second time on the show for Thomas. If he gets one more after this, he officially becomes a friend of the show. Thomas, first thing, Rockies aren't at the top of the standings, but their relief corps has been phenomenal. What have you seen from them that has made them so good so far?
Well, it is a big relief plan that was instituted by the new manager, Warren Schaefer, with the help of the front office. They've looked over the years. And here's what happens, whether it's a good start, whether it's a poor start, a team that plays at Coors Field uses relief a lot. So they wanted to change how they used it, because what they were finding was guys who started the season really well struggled in the middle or the latter parts of the season from overuse. So how do you cut down on that? What they decided to do was go with more long relief, or should I say multi-inning. Long relief actually has a connotation that the game is lost and the guy's out there pitching. But a couple of things that they've done. Antonio Senzatela, a longtime starter, they were going to have him compete for the starter's job because he's made a number of changes to his repertoire, to his pitch usage. So they were going to have him compete, but he didn't pitch much in the World Baseball Classic. So they kept him as a multi-inning reliever, and he's been incredible for them. I mean, a sub-1 ERA. He's pitched multi-innings every time out of the bullpen. I think that he has more than twice as many innings as appearances. So that tells you that. Then they were using an opener for Chase Dolander, who is going to be at the top of their rotation. But they didn't want Chase facing the top of the order 3 times through, and they wanted him deep in the game. How do you do that? By having an opener pitch that first inning or that first group of batters. And I think in one case, they used 2 guys in the first inning, then switched it to Chase Dolander from there. He's been outstanding for them, and that helps the relief numbers quite a bit. Zach Agnos, he had a blow up last night, or should I say Friday night against the Atlanta Braves, but he's been very good working up to 3+4 innings. So those have helped. When you put a guy in and it's still a ball game and he produces, then that's what makes your bullpen a lot better, because you save those 1 inning guys, you never end up overworking them.
Right, and to go with what you were saying about Senzatela, can look here officially. Senzatela has, or in March and April rather, Senzatela had 9 appearances and he had 19 2/3 innings pitched. So you are correct, more than twice as many innings than appearances. And his ERA minus was 10.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's been outstanding. This is a really good arm. And if you look at it, you look at the last few years of Senzatela, and people thought, hey, that he doesn't have much left. But since 2022, when he injured his knee during the game in St. Louis at the time that he was pitching well, and then the next year he blows out his elbow, has Tommy John surgery, he spent all that time between 22 and 25 rehabbing in the off season, and it is really hard to rehab and be effective when you get to the season, because then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to fix what's going on? But you spent more time on rehabbing than anything else. And I think if someone were to do a study, that takes a lot out of players. Usually it's the year after they've had to rehab that they become the guy they were. And under the new pitching coaches here, they have convinced him to reduce his fastball usage. He was using it early in his career as a starter. He was using it over 70% of the time. It was close to 60%. Now it's really dramatically dropped. I think I saw a figure where it was 35, 38%, and all his other stuff is working. The fastball is a little bit faster because he's healthier, and people don't know what's coming. He's added a sinker. So all these things that you can do as a pitcher as your career goes on, that's what Antonio Senzatela has done.
Now, in addition to his sinker, what breaking pitches does he use that have been effective?
Well, it's a mix, because he can use a changeup. He uses a curveball type of thing. What was going on in the past was he would use a slider and his fastball. All those things went to the glove side, and he really had a hard time getting the arm side. The changeup has been a long project for him. The sinker has gotten him back arm side. The sinker, I think, is the biggest game-changing pitch, considering that he's reduced the use of the fastball, but the sinker goes to the other side of the plate, and that's coming in at 97 miles an hour.
That's tough to hit. Now, with Senzatela and the rest of the Rockies pitching staff having to pitch at elevation through the years, we've seen breaking balls don't break the same in Denver as they do in San Diego. So have pitchers been afraid to really use their breaking balls as much while pitching in Denver, and Senzatela is coming away from that? Is that something that's factored in?
Well, the new pitching coach, Alon Leachman, and the whole pitching staff, Gabe Rebus, who came from the Detroit Tigers and was an engineer of pitch design for that staff. So think of that. They actually encouraged them to throw more different pitches rather than fewer. There are breaking balls being thrown, and it's through the rotation and through the bullpen, but they're mixed with a whole lot of other pitches. The philosophy being that you want to give the batter the idea that he can't sit on a pitch. If you have more pitches and you actually throw them, then he can't sit on the pitch. So that's part of the teaching that went in the season. And also, Alon is sending in pitch calls from the dugout to the catcher to be relayed to the pitcher. Now, the pitcher in the end has veto power, and a number of the veterans are more aggressive in the veto power, but also the catcher has some veto power in that too. And Hunter Goodman has become very good at understanding what works. The other thing about breaking balls, though, and we go back to the more successful staffs under Bud Black, they decided a few years back, and this happened probably before Bud Black got there. There was Darren Holmes who pitched for the Rockies years ago. The breaking ball, especially the curveball, it isn't as sharp a pitch in Denver, but it gives you more separation from the fastball. It comes in slower. So what they figured after many years of, you're going to throw fastballs and hard sliders and the changeup being the change of pace pitch, they figured that the curveball, granted bad ones get hit hard, but a decent curveball gives you that ability to destruct the hitter's timing.
That makes sense. And I don't care where you are. You hang a curveball in Denver, you hang a curveball in San Francisco, it's going to get absolutely obliterated by a major league hitter, right?
The difference though is that because of the atmosphere, the ability to grip a pitch, it's going to happen a little bit more here than it happens elsewhere. There was something with the curveball that Jose Quintana, who pitched against the Braves on Friday night, he said something in his post-game interview that really struck me. The first couple of times out in Denver, he wasn't exactly sure how to make his pitches do what he wanted. But he said that he grips the curveball a lot tighter, and that allows it to go where he wants. It allows it to land where he wants it to land. And he's found that's been a difference. And I believe that's something that pitchers have done here when they've had success with a breaking ball.
Okay. Well, and with the Rockies, there are four of the Rocky players are going to appear in the individual power rankings that we're going to do after this segment. One guy who made the top 5 for National League closers was Victor Vodnik. Now, people may look at his ERA, which I don't use reliever ERA because 1 or 2 bad outings ruins your ERA for a month. Victor's number 5 in the National League in closers. Senzatela came in 3rd in setup men. Jimmy Herget, 4th in middle relievers, and Brendan Bernardino is number 1 in middle relievers. So the Rockies have 4 players that are in the top 5 for their positions. What can you tell us about those 4 that you haven't already said? That is.
Yeah. First of all, as I was mentioning with the use of the bullpen, those terms seem like they're not quite fitting who the pitcher is. For example, Senzatela has closed games for them. Victor Vodnik, the Rockies refuse to name a closer. Here's why. They believe in setups throughout the latter innings. I'm not setups. I'm sorry. They believe in matchups throughout the latter innings. In fact, if you look at the offensive strategy of Warren Schaefer, it's very matchup based. Now, they do like for Victor Vodnik to face the best part of the other team's order. And if you look at the statistics, the best part does tend to come up in the 9th inning. They're more likely to bat, in descending order, more likely to make an appearance. So that's why Victor Vodnik has the saves he has, but they don't necessarily consider him a closer because if there's a better matchup, then they go to someone else. Same with Herget. Same with Bernardino. Bernardino, for much of the year has been, I believe right now is, the only left-hander in the bullpen. Although they use Jaden Hill because of the effectiveness of his slider to both hitters, they use him some later in the game, Bernardino a little bit earlier. Herget and Bernardino also have served as openers on several occasions. So part of it is, if you look at the categories, they're probably going to look a little bit better than others in their category, but that's because they're being used to their strengths.
Okay, well, I mean, we didn't really have anywhere else to put them.
That's right. Well,
the best label we could give for Vodnik was closer because of what you mentioned, and Senzatela, the best label we could give him was setup, and then Herget and Bernardino. When we don't know where else to put him, we just make him a middleman. So
well, I think that's part of what you're witnessing is the Colorado Rockies, because of where they play, have to be different. The new front office led by Paul DePodesta and Josh Burns Burns, who had some experience here as an assistant GM years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They understand they have to be different. So when they're looking for players, pitchers or position players, they're looking for, we have a strategy here in Denver that may be different from on the road. So let's tailor our roster that way. So they don't look like other teams because they're not like other teams. I don't know how much more they'll use openers, but they have they have a couple of starters that are close to the majors, Sean Sullivan and Gabriel Hughes. I would imagine that when they get to the major leagues, they may use openers to help break them in that way. So the Rockies are looking at this problem and just sort of taking a new look at how to put together a roster, how to put together a pitching staff, and especially how to use a bullpen.
Okay, and just as a statistical note, when they appear as an opener, since it officially goes down as a game started, it doesn't show up in our stats at all. So
Right.
it's as if he doesn't even appear. And then something else I wanted to point out, one area where the Rockies have excelled this year is in inherited runners. For March and April combined, they were the only team in the National League whose inherited runner scored percentage was lower than 20%, and there were only two American League teams that did that, the Orioles and the Mariners. That has certainly been something that has helped the Rockies greatly, correct?
No doubt about it. And part of it is, you look at the record, it is sub 500, but it's a very competitive team. All these games are tight.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're able to do is, because they don't have, you're a setup man, you're a closer, you're a long guy, you're a middle guy, they're able to find the best matchup for those situations. And I think that has worked very well for them. And that is one of the reasons why you're seeing a low inherited runner situation. I think in the past, you've had guys, and a couple of them have even used the term firemen. They know that they're going to come in with inherited runners. That's fine, but just enough exposure will drive those numbers up. It seems like with this crew, they know their role going into the game, but it could be a number of different guys. And I think if you look at Jimmy Herget and you look at Brennan Bernardino, those are guys that have a lot of experience in it. And when they're not openers, they can be used almost in any inning, and it really makes a difference.
Yeah, and a guy that was really a fireman with inherited runners pitched in Colorado and Arizona and in Boston, and is someone we still run into every now and then because he's so high up with the Players Association. I'm talking about Mike Myers.
Yes, and that was back in the day of the lefty specialist, and he was very good at it, and he moved around the league. Now with the 3-batter minimum, you don't really have that guy all that much. You need a lefty that can bridge against righties, and that was part of his success. Was if you send up a pinch hitter in the middle of a group of lefties, Mike Myers could find a way to get that guy out too.
So to sum it all up, what can fans who see the Rockies for the first time, what can they expect to see out of their relief unit?
Okay, depending on how far the starter goes, Warren Schaefer is not afraid to give the ball to an Antonio Senzatela or Zach Agnos, or they have Tanner Gordon on the staff now. Whether it's a close game and the Rockies are ahead, a close game and the Rockies are behind, or blowout, but there haven't been many of those. So in those close games, he's not afraid to give the ball to any of those guys and let them finish the game. If they're pitching effectively, why go to a one-inning guy unless there's an advantageous matchup? So it is different use of the bullpen. And if you almost have to watch the team for a certain amount of time to understand that it is different, because there are going to be nights that Victor Vodnik pitches the ninth inning and you assume he's the closer, but there are reasons based on the lineup that he's facing for that. So I think it's a good team to study, saying, okay, they have a different problem than other teams because they're playing at altitude. And also there's a wear and tear factor on pitchers. Like, I think one of them that I used the other day as an example was Jake Bird. When Jake Bird pitched very well for the Rockies, he gets traded to the Yankees, and there's nothing left at the end of that season, and he finishes the year in the minors. Actually, a number of pitchers here, they're like, we feel for Jake because we know he's gassed at this point. They're trying not to gas their relief staff. And are they able to keep up with this? We'll see during the year. They haven't used a lot of what the Dodgers and a few other teams do, where if a guy has an issue, they make sure he goes to the IL. They bring up somebody from the minors and send them back down. They haven't used that Albuquerque staff as much as I thought they would coming in. I would expect that they'll use it more.
Okay, well, I've told people a lot. Managers don't manage relief units to stats; they manage to win ball games, and the Rockies are an even bigger example of that than any other team. It sounds like.
Definitely, and even offensively, it's going on because that they don't really have a 9-man batting order that you can plug in and expect to be various places in their place every day. So the lineup is very different from day to day. And hey, with Ezekiel Tovar struggling and knowing that hard-throwing right-handers are getting him, they've even pinch hit for him. So they're doing it offensively and defensively. This is a total matchup club. It's almost like a football team where on third down you send in a bunch of guys, or on second and short you bring in your heavy package. So that's what's going on with this team.
Well, thanks again for coming by, Thomas. We have on the screen there where you can follow him on X, formerly Twitter, and on Instagram. Thomas Harding, MLB.com, has covered the Colorado Rockies a long time. Thanks again for coming by, and we'll see you later on, Thomas.
Hey, thanks for having me. And on that Instagram, I'm putting more stuff on there. I'm experimenting with the vertical videos, and who knows, maybe one day I'll sing on Instagram so I can get an Instagrammy. I've been waiting to use that one.
And folks, I've heard Thomas sing. He can sing very well, so this is a good thing. All right. Thomas Harding, thanks again. Don't go away. We will be back with the Relievers of the Month, so don't close that video yet. Welcome back to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. It is time for the individual power rankings for March and April. Statistics include every regular season game up through the end of play on April 30th. To qualify for the rankings, there is a minimum of 8 relief appearances, and for the goose egg per broken egg plus statistic, which forms 2/3 of the clutch category we use to rate setup men and closers, there is a minimum of 4 goose eggs plus broken eggs. A note on the roles. If a team is using co-closers, we list both as closers. If it is closer by committee, we list all members of that committee as setup men. A link to our ranking methods is in the description box below this video. We will start by listing the middlemen and the setup men from each league who finished in 2nd through 10th place, as well as the closers from each league who finished in 2nd through 5th. Then we will reveal our award winners. Here we go. First, the American League Middle Relievers. At number 10 with 25.2 from the Blue Jays, Mason Fluharty. Number 9 with 27.6 from the Mariners, Cooper Criswell. Number 8 with 30.6 from the Yankees, Brent Hedrick. Number 7 with 31.4, also from the Blue Jays, Joe Mantiply. Number 6 with 32.1 from the Rays, Kevin Kelly. Number 5 with 34.3, also from the Blue Jays, Braden Fisher. Number 4 with 37.3 from the Rangers, Tyler Alexander. Number 3 with 41.5 from the Orioles, Grant Wolfram. And number 2 with 54.4, also from the Orioles, Yennier Cano. We will reveal number 1 in a few minutes. On to the National League Middle Relievers. At 10 with 18.3 from the Phillies, Chase Shugart. Number 9 with 20.3 from the Mets, Tobias Myers. Number 8 with 22.8 from the Cardinals, Gordon Graceffo. Number 7 with 23.16, rounded to 23.2 from the Reds, Pierce Johnson. Number 6 with 23.18, also rounded to 23.2 from the Pirates, Mason Montgomery. Number 5 with 23.7 from the Dodgers, Jack Dreyer. Number 4 with 25.7 from the Rockies, Jimmy Herget. Number 3 with 32.5 from the Reds, Brock Burke. Number 2 with 35.4 from the Giants, Caleb Killian. And we will reveal number 1 in a few minutes. On to the American League setup men. At number 10 with 57.6 from the Angels, Sam Bachman. Number 9 with 94.1, that's a huge jump, from the Mariners, Eduard Bizardo. Number 8 with 101.8 from the Guardians, Eric Sabrowski. Number 7 with 109.5 from the Athletics, Hogan Harris. Number 6 with 110.4 from the Royals, Matt Strom. Number 5 with 111.8 from the Tigers, Kyle Finnegan. Number 4 with 115.4 from the Blue Jays, Tyler Rogers. Number 3 with 120.7 from the Rangers, Jacob Junis. Number 2 with 126.4 from the Athletics, Jack Perkins. And once again, number 1 we will reveal in a few minutes. On to the National League setup men. At number 10 with 47.0 from the Padres, Adrian Morejon. Number 9 with 47.5 from the Cardinals, Jojo Romero. Number 8 with 54.8 from the Padres, Jason Adam. Number 7 with 64.5 from the Reds, Graham Ashcraft. Number 6 with 78.4 from the Mets, Luke Weaver. Big jump to number 5 with 110.1 from the Diamondbacks, Juan Murillo. Number 4 with 112.8 from the Pirates, Isaac Matson. Another pretty sizable jump between 4 and 3, because number 3 has 127.1 from the Rockies, Antonio Senzatela. Number 2 with 145.7 from the Dodgers, Alex Vesia. And we will reveal number 1 in a few minutes. The American League closers. Number 5 with 63.6. That's a down year for closers so far. From the Red Sox, Aroldis Chapman. Number 4 with 71.2 from the Guardians, Cade Smith. Number 3 with 77.6 from the Rays, Brian Baker. Number 2 with 92.9. That's a score we're used to seeing from our closers in the top 5. 92.9 from the Mariners, Andres Munoz. And number 1 we will reveal in a few minutes. Finally, the National League closers. Number 5 with 73.5 from the Rockies, Der Kommissar, Victor Vodnik. Number 4, massive jump here, almost double the score of number 5. 140.7 from the Braves, Robert Suarez. Number 3 with 143.3 from the Pirates, Gregory Soto. Number 2, you know what? Number 2, we'll hold off on him as well. You'll see why when we get there. So number 2 and number 1 we'll both hold off on. And now the award winners. Our American League Middle Reliever of the Month delivered a 90.9 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, allowing 1 earned run across 11 1/3 innings in 11 games. He paired a 19 ERA minus with a 5.29 whip, struck out 31% of the hitters he faced and walked 7.1%, a K- walk percentage of 23.8%, and did not allow a home run. He also stranded all 6 runners he inherited, finishing March and April with 63.2 points. The American League Middle Reliever of the Month for March and April, from the Kansas City Royals, Daniel Lynch IV. The National League's top middle reliever did not allow an earned run all month, turning in a perfect 100 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, across 12 innings in 13 games. Obviously, he posted a 0 ERA minus, adding to that an 8.33 whip, struck out a quarter of the hitters he faced, walked only 1, and kept the ball in the yard. He allowed 20% of his inherited runners to score and closed the month with 50.4 points. From the Colorado Rockies, the National League Middle Reliever of the Month for March and April is Brennan Bernardino. Turning now to the American League Setup Man of the Month, who allowed 1 earned run, 1 hit, and 1 home run, all on the same play, mind you, in 13 2/3 innings across 15 games. Those 14 scoreless appearances out of 15 were good for a 93.3% scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only. He delivered 6 goose eggs against 1 broken egg, a 6.0 goose egg per broken egg ratio, and an ungodly 366 whip. That's ridiculous. You don't even see that in video games. He struck out nearly 1/3 of opposing hitters and walked fewer than 9%. That 1 hit, which was also his only home run allowed and only earned run allowed, a solo homer by Royals second baseman Michael Massey during the 8th inning in Kansas City on April 21st. With 136.7 points, the American League Setup Man for the month for March and April from the Baltimore Orioles, Rico Garcia. By the way, we are filming this the night of May 5th. Garcia has had 2 appearances in May, a scoreless, hitless inning against the Yankees on the 3rd, and 1 1/3 scoreless and hitless innings earlier tonight against the Marlins. So the Michael Massey homer on April 21st is still the only earned run and only hit that Garcia has allowed so far in 2026. He did walk a guy tonight, bringing his season total of walks to 5 and base runners allowed to 6. Needless to say, he's had quite a season so far. Back to the awards. The National League Setup Man of the Month logged 13 2/3 innings across 14 games, holding opponents scoreless in 13 of them for a 92.9 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only. In the one game where opponents got to him, he allowed 3 earned runs across a pair of homers to the Detroit Tigers, a solo shot by Spencer Torkelson, and a 2-run bomb by Kerry Carpenter. He produced 10 goose eggs versus 1 broken egg, a 10.0 goose egg per broken egg ratio, that's an easy one, and did not allow an inherited runner to score. He added a 1098 whip and a 15.1 K- walk percentage. This all combined to power him to 154.4 points. Our National League Setup Man of the Month for March and April from the Cincinnati Reds, Tony Santillan. The American League Closer of the Month held opponents scoreless in 14 of his 15 outings, giving him a 93.3 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, for March and April. He allowed 1 earned run, gave up no home runs, only allowed 1 inherited runner out of 11 to score, which is 9.1%, and finished with 5 goose eggs versus 0 broken eggs. With a 1,000 whip, a 36.7 K- walk percentage, and 144.0 points. Your AL Closer of the Month for March and April. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Lewis Varland. And finally, the National League Closer of the Month. He held opponents scoreless in 14 of his 15 outings, giving him a 93.3 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, across March and April. He allowed no home runs, struck out 29.3% of the hitters he faced, walked 1.7%, and finished the month with a 783 whip. His 11 goose eggs, 1 broken egg, and 11.0 goose egg per broken egg ratio stood out even more given the environment he was pitching in, where stability often seemed optional. His 175.4 point performance led all closers. Your National League Closer of the Month for March and April by a margin of 1.8 points due to having more goose eggs. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Riley O'Brien. And by the way, the NL runner-up for the month deserves to be highlighted as well, because look at what Mason Miller of the San Diego Padres did. 15 1/3 innings, 15 games in relief, and 14 were scoreless, giving him a 93.3 scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only. 587 whip, faced 54 batters and struck out 29, giving him a K percentage straight out of a video game. 53.7%, 5.6% walk rate. Look at that K- walk percentage. 48.1? Are you kidding me? 7 goose eggs, 0 broken eggs, an infinite ratio. Truly remarkable, especially when comparing it to the National League averages shown at the bottom of your screen. What a talent. That concludes this installment of Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza from Sport Relay. Join us next time when we will go through Week 6 and I will have another guest. I'm Evan Thompson. Thanks for watching, and we will see you then.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Click subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of this show or of our other show, Trade Trees. Tell your friends and baseball contacts. If you haven't done so yet, consider buying my books, A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There are links in the description box below this video. And finally, bookmark and regularly visit sportrelay.com. Until next time, this is Evan Thompson saying so long for now.